Hey everyone, the newest update for the Go Battle League was just released live on the Los Angeles Pokemon Go regional stream. There's a lot of stuff to go over, some really big changes, and I'm very excited for this. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to both Niantic Labs and Play Pokemon for getting us this information out early. In the past, it's been like, I don't know, a couple days before the new season before we really got these changes, so being able to see them so soon is very much appreciated, so again, thank you so much to them. The biggest change, I would say, first and foremost, if we look at this document, it's not even the attack changes. Just take a look at this. The following changes go live Monday, June 3rd. This is different, right? The season should start June 1st. So it's not going to start on Saturday, not going to start on Sunday. These move updates go live on Monday. The reason that Niantic did this is there are some regional events happening right after the meta shakeup would happen. There's a Japanese qualifier, and then there's a tournament in Europe as well that are happening right then. So it makes sense that they wouldn't want these updates to go live in the middle of that tournament. It wouldn't be very fair to the competitors, and I would say this is a pretty good workaround to make sure that it's nice and fair and balanced for all people attending. Now getting into the actual move updates here, we can see three very big attack changes. We have Scald getting its debuff chance decreased. We don't know the exact number, but I would assume it's probably going back down to 30% from 50% where it is now. Then we have Spark, whose power here looks like it's getting decreased by 1, so it's going to go from 6 to 5. And then Seed Bomb, who's actually getting a damage increase. So if you guys didn't know, Trevenant used to be a very popular Seed Bomb user, but it did get nerfed about this time last year, actually. Seed Bomb used to be 40 energy, it got nerfed, so it's 45 energy now. And so they've kind of been trying to rework Seed Bomb ever since to make it so Trevenant's still kind of useful. I don't think this is the biggest change, because Seed Bomb isn't still like a great move or anything, but it's nice, right? Trevenant did need a little bit of love. It's not the biggest buff in the world, though. It's not making its pacing any better. It's still going to be 665 to getting that Seed Bomb, which is kind of slow, but you know, you're always going to appreciate extra damage. People are already using Trevenant, so seeing Trevenant, you know, get a little bit more damage, that's always a good thing, right? Let's take a look at what Spark is likely going to look like now as well. If we go over to PV Poke, we can go to the Moves tab, and we can take a look at every single fast attack in the game, right? So if we take a look at moves by just raw damage right now, Spark should be at 5 damage, right? Yeah, so Spark's at 6 damage, rather. It's going to be going down to 5 damage. 5 damage, 7 energy. Is there any move like that in the game? You can see that, like, Karate Chop, Quick Attack, Powder Snow, all these moves are 5 damage, 8 energy. So it's going to be a worse version of Powder Snow, a worse version of Quick Attack. 5 damage, 7 energy. Okay, so Sucker Punch. It's going to become a Sucker Punch clone. If you guys know anything about the Go Battle League, Sucker Punch isn't really a move you see too often, so that's kind of indicative of how bad the move is. It's not going to be unusable, but it's going to be very underwhelming compared to what we know now. Because right now, Spark is back up here if we take a look. Right here, 6-7. So it's the same as Leafage, it's the same as a Bullet Punch as well, which already aren't the best moves in the game. So the fact that Spark is getting this nerf is going to mean that Lantern, specifically Spark Lantern, might be seeing a decrease in usage. Water Gun Lantern, however, I could see very much taking its place, and I don't even know how the Spark nerf's going to feel. Maybe this nerf's going to not be that much. Maybe it's just like a bit of an overreaction bias that we're all going to say 1 damage from Spark, that's all it takes to get Spark Lantern out of the meta. No, it might still be good. You know, it has a lot of play into the waters, it has a lot of play in the mirror match, the flyers get farmed down by you, but Water Gun Lantern has its benefits as well, right? More fast move pressure against the Mud Boys, you know, the Whiscashes, the Quagsires, the Swamperts. It also has super effective fast attack pressure against Shadow Gligar, and that's probably the safest Pokemon currently in the meta. A Pokemon that's very hard to counter unless you're using like an Ice type or a Skarmory. So having an actual Water type with Water type damage, that seems pretty good. And also, if Spark does take the back foot here, and Water Gun Lantern starts to pick up, a lot of other Water types are gonna get to be able to be in the meta. Water Gun Lantern is nowhere near as hard a counter to things like Azumarill, Dugong, Feraligatr, like all of these things that could keep Gligar in check. So I'm very excited about that. I'm very happy to see that Spark actually did get nerfed here. I think that was probably everyone's #1 bucket list item for this moveset update. Alright, so these are the 3 big move changes for moves that are already in the game. Let's take a look at the next page here, see what we have going on. We also see that Swift's getting changed here. That's interesting, 60 damage to 55 damage. It's already not the best move in the game, so seeing its damage get decreased is kind of interesting, but it also says the energy cost is going to get decreased. Let's take a look at what Swift is already. Right now we can do a similar thing we were doing here, and look at the charged moves. If we look at Swift, right now, it's 60 damage for 55 energy. It's going to become 55 damage, and who knows what this energy value is going to be. If we sort moves by damage here, we can go all the way down to the 55 damage moves and see what kind of energy cost is normal for a move like that. And yeah, we see a lot of 40, a lot of 35. If Swift becomes a 35-55, that's a cross-chop clone, that's an Aqua Tail clone. That could actually be kind of huge. I feel like they might do that, but they could just make it a kind of a neutral move, like an Aerial Ace kind of attack, where it's 55-40, not a great move, but a move that's good enough, that's cheap enough, that certain Pokemon might be able to make it work. But if it's not 35 energy, I don't see any way that Swift is going to become top meta. I don't think it's going to be used on really anything that's going to be able to win tournaments or do all that well in the Go Battle League. We can also take a look at what are the current Swift users right now. In PvPoke, we can look at Swift, and every single Pokemon with Swift will pop up. Initially, you can see this list is kind of small. Nothing that's actually that good is going to be on here. You have Hisuian Electrode as the #1 pick with it, who already is kind of unique with its electric and grass type coverage, but I don't think you'd want to drop one of those moves for Swift. Mine, Uxie, Plusle, Eevee, none of these Pokemon that already have it have any play already, and I don't think this change is going to help them out too much, so we'll have to see what Pokemon got Swift added to their movesets. Alright, taking a look back here at the attack availability updates, we have Typhlosion with Thunder Punch, Riolu with Thunder Punch, Lucario with Thunder Punch, Scraggy and Scrafty also both with Thunder Punch. A lot of Thunder Punches going around here. I don't think Lucario or Riolu, they're not going to make too much of an impact on the meta. Lucario already has a great moveset, it's just kind of squishy, and that's what makes it a little harder to use. Scraggy and Scrafty as well. They're the fighter that loses to every other fighter. Thunder Punch is kind of nice for the Skarm matchup, but I don't really see these two coming into play, too much, but maybe I'm wrong here. And then we have the big one, right? Typhlosion with Thunder Punch. Typhlosion, for the longest time, has been asking for a cheaper bait move in the game. Thunder Punch is an interesting option for that. Fire types have always been weak to water types, so being able to have a Thunder Punch to, actually have coverage against them, you can probably do a ton of damage to Manteens, ton of damage to Azus. Basically all these Pokemon that in the past you'd have to land a Solar Beam against, you can now land the cheap charge attack Thunder Punch. But the interesting thing about Thunder Punch is it's a 40 energy move. If you know what this means when combining with the move Incinerate, you're going to be very excited about this. Incinerate is an incredibly powerful move. I'd say the best thing though about this Thunder Punch Typhlosion is not just the coverage, but the absolute speed that you're going to be reaching these moves. You have a 40 energy move, and then a fast attack that generates 20 energy each time you throw it. Obviously Incinerate is a very long duration move, but it only takes 2 Incinerates to reach a Thunder Punch. That's crazy. That pacing is so quick. 1, 2, Thunder Punch. That feels strong. I am very excited for Typhlosion here. I'm interested to see how it can do in the meta. I love the fact they gave it a bait move. It kind of needed some love to differentiate it from other Incinerate users, from other fire types just in general. Thunder Punch, I absolutely love that. I'm very excited to see where it goes from here. Alright, let's move on to the next page here, see what we have. Looks like Chestnut, Pawmo, and Pawmot are both also going to be getting Thunder Punch here. Chestnut already has a very strong moveset, having Superpower and Frenzy Plant with Vine Whip as its fast attack. But Thunder Punch coverage, that could be good. You have the Skarmories out there and the Manteens that have been destroying Chestnut for so long now. It's kind of kept it out of the meta, honestly. So I love the fact that they're giving it a coverage move. You'd probably have to drop Superpower in order to actually use Thunder Punch. And again, since it's a 40 energy move, the pacing on this is actually kind of crazy. It's 5 Vine Whips to get to that Thunder Punch. It's very quick. It's as quick as Superpower, but it has better coverage against some of the things that give Chestnut a hard time. Mainly the flying types. Glygars would still be a bit of a pain, but I feel like with some of the other changes, Gligar is not going to be as safe as it was. So maybe Chestnut can make some waves in the GBL, maybe at NAIC, we'll have to see, I guess. Low Kicks with Counter. Counter is one of, if not the best fast attack in the game. Low Kicks getting it is kind of cool. I don't think it's going to be that good because Low Kicks is a very squishy Pokemon, but I love to see them try to make these kinds of Pokemon that are on the very outskirts of any sort of viability and then to try to bring them something. And now Low Kicks does have something that makes it a little bit interesting. It's not the bug type with counter that I might have been hoping for. I would have loved to see Ladian get counter. It's a much bulkier Pokemon. It would be a little bit better at countering some things like the Whiscaches and all the other things in the meta that are kind of just disrespecting bug right now. But Low Kicks, it's interesting, but I wouldn't really expect it to do much. Citadel and Cititan with Powder Snow, that's kind of an interesting one. It already has a pretty decent charge attack move pool. Body Slam and Avalanche pair very well together, especially with Powder Snow now. It's going to be very quick. It's 5-4 pacing to reach the Body Slams with Powder Snow, and it's 6-6-5 pacing to reach Avalanche, just like Frostlass. So, I feel like this moveset update here with Cititan and Citadel, while Mono Ice is not the best typing in the game, it could be interesting. I don't know where to think about this one yet. It seems good, but we'll just have to see. I don't know. Mono Ice, as I said, not the best coverage, not the best typing, but it is a very quick and very offensive powerhouse. Let's take a look at Cititan's stats, just so we know what we're dealing with here. Okay, very average stats here. 120 attack is about as average as it gets. That's kind of around Pelipper, Venusaur, Swampert, Sableye, those kinds of Pokemon. It's the exact same attack range as all of them. As for moves, you do have access to Heavy Slam, but I don't think Heavy Slam's going to be making too much of a difference. I think this is probably the moveset you run, and obviously Powder Snow as your fast attack here. In fact, why don't we just take a look at what it would actually look like against the current play Pokemon meta. So Powder Snow actually picks up Lickitung, Mantine, Whiscash, and Wigglytuff. Wow. Okay, these changes are actually kind of big. If you see these Pokemon, you'll know, especially these first three, right? These three are incredibly common. It says we drop Umbreon, but I'm sure that's a very close loss. Yeah, that might even be IV dependent here. Wigglytuff is also pretty important. Just having the ability to neutral game through a Charmer, you love to see that. And this is the 1-to-1 shield match. Let's check out the zeros. In the zeros, you win Charge-a-Bug, Umbreon, Whiscash Shadow, and Wigglytuff. Okay, this meta update here, Powder Snow on Cititan, I didn't really think too much of it. Obviously, the record is still a little bit lower than you'd want, 15 wins, 18 losses, so it's still not the best. But this is interesting. This is really interesting. How about the twos? Now that you have a bit more of a quicker pacing, I'm sure the twos are also pretty decent. Yeah, look at that. In the two-shield matchup now, you can power your way through these tanks. The Lickitung matchup, the Umbreon matchup, the Whiscash matchup even. Matchups that used to be kind of close. Now, with the added pressure and speed that Powder Snow gives you, you can flip those. So Cititan, still kind of not the best pick, but it's actually kind of interesting now. Alright, coming back to the final move additions of this page right here, we have Dragon Claw on Naganadel, and we have Clefairy with Swift. So I don't think either of those are going to be winning any regionals anytime soon. They're just kind of, updates that maybe in the future could kind of help out those Pokemon in certain metas. Open Great League probably won't benefit from this, though. Alright, let's take a look at the next page here. Okay, more things with Swift. A ton of more things with Swift, actually. We have Clefable, Jigglypuff, Wigglytuff, Cleffa, Igglybuff, Pediursa, Ursaring, and Ursaluna. Okay, so Clefable is already a Pokemon that's kind of interesting, right? We have Fairy Wind, we have Charm on that thing, so being able to have Swift, if it is a 35 energy move, that actually pairs pretty nicely with Fairy Wind, right? That's only 4 fast attacks to reach the Swift. It would be 5-4 if it's a 40 energy move, just straight 4s if it's a 35 energy move. So, I feel like Swift on Clefable could be interesting as a bait move. I've always said that Clefable's biggest issue is the fact that it doesn't have a bait move. You have very expensive charge moves that are, very efficient moves and very good attacks, but not having a cheaper attack makes things really awkward when you have to throw a Meteor Mash to knock something out when it's really low, rather than having either a cheap charge move or any sort of fast move pressure. So Swift could change things up a little bit here for Clefable. Then again, dropping Meteor Mash would probably be kind of rough, because Meteor Mash is what makes Clefable unique as a fairy type, but we'll have to just see exactly how strong Swift is going to be. Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff. So, this is another interesting one, right? It really depends on how cheap Swift is. If it's 35 or 40 energy, I think Wigglytuff could have a chance to actually drop Disarming Voice for Swift. Just because as a Charm user, you're already so slow to getting to your charge moves, you kinda need a cheap move if you want to be able to get more than one move off in a game. I know Disarming Voice is amazing coverage, and it's one of the only Pokemon in the game that actually has real Fairy type charge move pressure. But the fact that you have Icy Wind, and you probably don't want to give up that debuff potential. In my mind, just having that cheaper move could be enough to replace Disarming Voice as Wigglytuff's primary cheap charge attack. Again, we'll have to see just how good Swift is. Maybe it's not good enough, maybe it's 45 energy, and then if that's the case, it's still useless on Wigglytuff. But again, I'm just very interested to see where this goes. Wigglytuff keeps getting buffed, I don't know why. I don't like charm users, but here we are seeing more charm users get buffed, and well, actually, it's the same charm user, they just keep buffing the same guy. They gave it Icy Wind before, now they're giving it Swift. This is interesting, we'll see where Wigglytuff goes from here. Alright, then Cleffa. Cleffa getting Swift, Igglybuff getting Swift, that might do like Little Cup shenanigans, but I don't think that's going to do too much for the Open Great League meta. Pediursa as well. Ursaring and Ursaluna, I feel like they already have good enough movesets, they're just not ever going to be meta in the game. Ursaluna, maybe if they ever give it like Shadow Claw, it could be kind of interesting, but Swift isn't really the buff any of these Pokemon were looking for. But it's an interesting coverage move to be able to throw around in future updates, so I'm pretty excited for that. So that's the end of the Swift update here. Let's check out the next page. And then we have our final changes. 4 Pokemon getting access to the Charge Attack Fly. Fly, if you don't know, is basically the best move in the game. I shouldn't say that, there's a lot better moves, but as far as one of the most widespread moves in the game, Fly is absolutely insane. It's what Sky Attack used to be before it got both its damage decreased and its energy cost increased. So Fly is an incredibly powerful move. The only unfortunate part about these changes is they gave them to 4 relatively useless Pokemon. Hero, while it's kinda interesting, and it very much appreciates this update, I don't feel it has the speed to actually, make use of this move. Same with Salamence. Maybe in Master League it could actually be interesting though, because Salamence, it's always been kinda on the verge of being kinda alright. It has great stats, it just needed that quicker charging charge attack. And Fly, it does that. So, Fly Salamence, especially Fly Mega Salamence, that could be a bit of a menace. And then we have Swoobat and Swanna both getting access to Fly. I believe they're both Air Slash users, which is a very underwhelming move. I don't think these updates are gonna put either of these Pokemon into the meta. It's just kind of a change that maybe down the line, if something happens where these Pokemon get better moves, maybe they could actually be kind of interesting. They're just like 1 or 2 changes now off of being interesting, whereas before, they were just like completely unusable, right? Alright, that is the end of these moveset updates. Not the biggest changes, but there are some interesting ones here, right? If we go back to the very start here, right, I'd say the biggest changes were the first things we went over. The Scald, Spark, and Seed Bomb changes. Scald getting a lowered chance to lower your opponent's attack, Spark getting less damage, and then Seed Bomb getting more damage. All 3 of these changes could actually have an impact on the meta. And again, these changes are not going to happen right at the start of the Go Battle League season. They happen on June 3rd. This is going to be an interesting way to start out the season. We'll have a few days of the old meta before we get into the new stuff. I'm very excited to see how the meta shakes up, and I'm pretty excited to compete at NAIC with these changes. There's going to be some interesting new picks, I'm almost certain of it, that are going to be viable now because of the Spark nerf. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm going to be going live later today on twitch.tv/itsaxon if you want to see me go over these moveset updates again and give a little bit more in-depth analysis on these. I really appreciate you watching this video. If you want to see more content like this, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you have any suggestions. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and goodbye.